three types of oil companies: international oil companies, IOCs. Those would be companies such as ExxonMobil, BP, Royal Dutch Shell. There are national oil companies, NOCs. Examples of an NOC would be Saudi Aramco in Saudi Arabia, Pemex in Mexico, PDVSA in Venezuela. And then there are NOCs with strategic and operational autonomy. Examples of NOCs with strategic and operational autonomy would be Petrobras in Brazil, Statoil in Norway. If you look at the slide you have before you, this is a slide of the share of world's oil production by type of company in 2004. This information was put together by the EIA, U.S. Energy Information Administration. The United States has no national oil companies. The largest three U.S.-based international oil companies are ExxonMobil, Chevron, and ConocoPhillips, and they are accountable to their shareholders, not to the United States government. National oil companies accounted for about 58% of world oil production in 2014. The next slide we're looking at here would be shares of world oil production by region. Each OPEC country has a national oil company. Ecuador and Venezuela are two members of OPEC in the Western Hemisphere. Combined, OPEC members produced 39% of the world's total oil production in 2014, 30% of that coming from the Middle East. Non-OPEC Americas produced 27% of the total oil supply in 2014. Access to a country's reserves may fall into one of four categories. There is the full access category. About 15% of the world's reserves fall into full access category. In this category, all companies must abide by the laws of the government, but no domestic company is given preferential treatment. Examples include the United States, the United Kingdom, and Canada. There are countries that fall into the equity access category. 1% of the world's oil reserves fall into the equity access category. In this category, an NOC exists but does not get preferential treatment over outside oil companies. Examples include Colombia, Indonesia, and Denmark. The third category is the limited equity access category. 37% of the world's reserves fall into the limited equity access category. In this category, the NOC is given priority access to reserves, while outside oil companies, access may be limited through minimum domestic ownership requirements, shared production with the NOC, or other methods. Examples include China, Angola, and Russia. The fourth category is the no equity access category. 47% of world's oil reserves fall into the no equity access category. The NOC has sole access to reserves. No foreign ownership of oil fields is permitted in these countries, and any outside participation is limited to operation through a domestic affiliate. Examples include Iran, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia.